Hey, Gator Nation. Welcome back to the Christmas edition of the Respect Our Decision podcast. Guys, as always, I'm your boy Hirsch. With me, CJ the man McCann.
What's up, guys?
As you can see, the hype man is not with us tonight. He has a Christmas recital for his daughter tonight. So he's once again in dad duty, um, hyping up the Christmas recital, I guess. But like I said, guys, this is our Christmas edition. We will not be doing an episode next week. Obviously, Christmas is on Wednesday. Um, unless something just out of this world happens beginning of the week, we probably won't have an episode. If something does happen on the weekend or maybe on Monday, maybe we'll jump on and do a quick synopsis, a recap, whatever you may call it. And hopefully we do. Hopefully something breaks loose because right now it's kind of boring. But we'll get to all that here in a minute. As always, guys, you can check us out here on the YouTube channel. If this is your first time running across us, you're like, hey, these look like a couple of trustworthy fellas. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. Drop a like on the video. As always, the like goal for the video is 100 likes. We're coming up a little short here, guys, each and every week. I know y'all are watching. Take a second, pause that video real quick, drop down, hit that like button. We appreciate y'all. It would really help us. Leave a comment down below, guys. What are y'all hoping to get for Christmas? What kind of piece of Gator gear or memorabilia or whatever it may be are you trying to get for Christmas? You trying to get that Jack Pyburn jersey? Too soon? Too soon? We'll talk about that.
Probably get a good deal on it right now if you want
Probably get a
one.
good deal, man. Probably hit it up right now. It's probably might be sitting out front on the rack. $5.
44% off.
Whatever it costs to make it, because he ain't getting that NIL money. Promise you. We'll get to all that in a minute, guys. We got some thoughts that we want to share, and we're going to kick that around. But as always, guys, you can always check us out wherever you get your podcast from as well. And if you got the time, you got the money this holiday season, I know things are tight right now. You're trying to get some stuff, but you can also give to Florida Gator athletes by going and checking out Florida Victorious. Use our code DECISION. Save 20% off your first month with Florida Victorious and support Gator athletes. But like I said, only do that, guys, if it is something that you can afford to do. If you can't, I understand it. Money is tight right now. It's Christmas time. The economy is tight. Gas is expensive. All those good things. Cereal. But hey, it's the time has come, guys. Friday, 3:30 in Tampa. Florida will kick it off with Tulane for the Gasparilla Bowl, or whatever they're calling them these days. Bowl names change by the year. At least we're not playing in the Pop-Tart Bowl. I'm going to tell you that right now. Good work by CJ last week on the thumbnail for the video, getting a little Pop-Tart in there. Looked like Mr. Towley.
Don't forget to bring a towel.
Yeah. So, guys, obviously, I mean, there's a lot of, I don't know what they really expect from this bowl game. They've only had a handful of practices, but obviously we're not that far removed from the last game of the season. So you shouldn't be that rusty. If anything else, maybe you're a little more healthy than you were coming out of the last game of the season, which certainly DJ will be. Haven't heard anything about injury news. You're not going to, obviously, for the bowl game. I would expect to see a lot of young guys play. Like we mentioned last week in the video, anybody on the team, even red shirts, can play in the bowl game without affecting their red shirt status. So I would hope to see us get up, put some points on the board, see some of these young guys running around in the second half. Like to see the guys have fun, man. I'd like to see Billy Napier open the playbook a little bit but I don't know how far open the playbook gets. Insert random 6 plays, joke here. CJ, what are you looking for out of this bowl game? What are you looking to see?
Yeah, like I was telling what you said, just to have a good time, play the game. Like I said, this is a game that we should win pretty handedly. Tulane has been hit by the transfer portal bug pretty hard, harder than we have, at least for their like starting positions and things. So I'm curious to see what they bring to the table. This was a team that at one point was pretty good. Tulane was a top 25 team for a good part of the year. Their coach Summerall, I think he's going to be a guy that you look to have a Power Four job within the next year, maybe even before the year's out. I'm not sure, but definitely a guy that has been talked about in different circles. So they've done a good job. At one point, they were kind of a team that everyone thought was in the running to take that group of five spot that Boise State ended up getting. And I think that a lot of people looked at them as a potential team to do that. And things didn't go their way. Had a rocky end of the season. Had a rough game against Army in their conference championship game. So I'm not sure what Tulane is right now. I don't know what exactly they're going to bring to the table at this point, but Florida should take care of business, I would hope, in this game. It should be a pretty fairly easy game. I don't expect us to light up the scoreboard just because that's just, like we've said before, not really our style. But I think it'll be kind of a game where you maybe win like 27-7, and it never really looks out of hand. It's just kind of Florida making sure that everybody gets to play. Everybody gets a chance, kind of like Pop Warner football. Everybody gets in, everybody gets a drive, everybody gets to play. I feel like that would probably be what we look for. We want to see a lot of the red shirt guys get their chance to play that haven't got to play this year. I'd like to see Daniels get to play some at running back. Um, I think a lot of us would. I'd like to see some more from the young wide receivers. I'd like to see TJ Abrams get some burn, Dre Hawkins get some more burn. Maybe Amir Jackson gets some, whatever. I mean, it's the bowl game. Let these guys play a little bit. Let DJ have a game where he can kind of have a good time and be healthy and just throw the ball around on the field and get us a good cushion and, just kind of coast and figure out what we have for next year. Let these guys have a good time at their bowl game and really enjoy the reward for a winning season, because that's what these bowl games are. They're just rewards for having a winning season, going 7-5. Have a good time. This is what you get. Enjoy your trip to Tampa. A lot of these guys been to Tampa before, but hey, have a good time, have fun. Look at the pirate ship. Um, Look at the Yankees practice facility if that's what you're into. Our fans are gonna have a chance to watch the Gators play one more time. Not something that's out of the way. It's very doable for most of us. So, um, hey, have fun. I just take care of business early and enjoy it and make sure that everybody gets a chance to get some reps in.
Um, I'm gonna go a little different on this. I think I don't know why I shouldn't feel this way. I should know better. I shouldn't I shouldn't drive myself to this kind of hopium, if you will. But I kind of think they're going to try to air it out at least in the first half. Look, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you got the Badger sitting there within 200 yards of 1,000. Can we throw some deep balls? I mean, look, Badger's playing. He didn't show up. Didn't get all dressed up for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like he's out there to do it. I mean, so look, like we said, and I know this is this is going to hit on some sore spots right now because of we haven't been active in the portal to the level that a lot of fans would like us to be yet. But this is once again another opportunity to showcase to receivers that are still out there, either playing in bowl games still that have not entered the portal, and there are quite a few, and some guys that they're still out there talking to. Um, and there's still some guys on teams that aren't even in bowl games that are still contemplating whether or not they want to enter the portal. It's tamper season big time right now. You see a handful of guys enter every single day. You go out there and air it out a little bit more in this game and saying, look, this is what you can come be a part of. It's a great sales pitch opportunity. Will Billy Napier take advantage of that? Like I said, I'm probably setting myself up for disappointment here. You'll probably get a steady dose of Montrell and Ball and Jackson, and like you said, KD maybe in the second half. I love Montrell. I think Montrell went out on a super high note against Florida State. I really hope he doesn't play much in this game for the sake of I'd like him to rest up, be ready to play Was it the Shrine Bowl that he committed to? I'm
Yeah,
not.
East West
Yeah,
Shrine Bowl. He'll be in the
yeah,
Shrine Bowl.
he's going to play in the Shrine Bowl, and then obviously he's going to do combine work. I would imagine. I hope he gets an invite to the combine. I mean, you know how that goes. But so I'd like to see him focus on that and not, let these guys have their time. Now, granted, Montreal hadn't got to play in a bowl, you know. So I mean, and maybe that means a lot to him. Is like, hey, I'd like to play in one of these things and do something. And maybe that's just the first couple of series. We'll see. Um, I would expect DK and Badger to get plenty of burn, but I'd like to see somebody, like Mizell needs to be out there running some deep routes or whatever you have. Get Tank out there running some. Don't run him 4 miles of motion. Use him.
Yeah, let Spirito get out there and get some more catches.
God Almighty, the Dirty 30 will be out
The
there.
Dirty 30, baby.
Dirty 30 will be out there with 10 catches for 175 yards, and Badger and DK will be over there like, what the heck, man? No, I don't think that's DJ's style. Get a lot of these young defenders out there. I want to see a healthy dose of Miles Graham and Childs. Obviously, you're a little shorter on depth on the defensive side due to some guys that have already left. Like, again, we're going to talk about that here in a second. But, I mean, you can see LJ McCray playing in this game a good bit. I'd like to see him the whole second half. Guys like that, LJ, Robinson, and Burrow at D tackle. This is a super opportunity to see these guys. You're playing against Ty Thompson, who's the last quarterback left in the stable over there. And he's already said as soon as the game's over, he's hitching up and leaving too. So
he's pulling old Emory Jones.
Yeah, how much is his heart really into going out there and playing this? If he's already said, I'm getting the hell out of Dodge. So this should be a game where you feast. Once again, I set myself up because I said that about Florida State. We've said that about plenty of games. I feel like the bowl game is a little different. There's nothing really on the line. You're not playing, other than a trophy, I guess. But light it up, man. That would be me. Once again, you know how it goes. Blah, blah. But I'd like to see Billy do a few things in this game and let DJ. I don't want to see DJ run the ball at all, really.
No.
Let's put that out there as well.
No.
Stay in the pocket, get protected. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not. I don't want to see Aiden Warner.
Why not?
I've had my share, but apparently he throws a really good deep ball. And you know what? This will be the game where he does that. Like in the second half,
he's going to sling a beauty right to Spirito.
He's going to sling one real deep, and everybody's going to be like, "Well, couldn't he do that versus Georgia?"
Or is this guy against Texas?
Yeah. Texas ain't walking onto that field Friday. But anyway, I'd like to see this, be a real good. CJ put his prediction out there. I'm going to go higher than that. I'm going to go somewhere along the lines of like 36-13 or something in this game, which I know will be wrong, and I know the reasons why it'll be wrong. But damn it.
Ooh.
If you shoot for the moon, you'll always land among the stars, or whatever that poster on your teacher's wall at school said.
Whatever. That's.
My mom
I just know if you set your expectations low, you'll never be disappointed.
And that's where CJ likes to keep it. Guys, let's talk comings and goings on the Gators roster. We've talked about it last week about what was going on, but we had, obviously Caleb Banks announced he was back last week. This week we got Jake Sauter announced he was back, followed up by Austin Barber announcing he's back. Damian George entered the portal, but apparently it was an accident by his agent, and he's not in the portal. So, guys, you're running back 4 of the 5 starting offensive linemen. That is ridiculously huge for DJ Lagway next year. That is potentially some of the best news you can possibly get. Now that allows you to go out in the portal, hopefully, and obviously we're still kind of waiting on that ship to get out of the port, and either get you a good right tackle or go find you a good left tackle and maybe convince Austin Barber to go slide back to right, which has been talked about. Not saying it's going to happen, but it's a possibility. CJ, real quick before we, obviously we get anything else. How big do you feel like this is about having these guys, the offensive line back?
Yeah, when you were able to take a unit of offensive linemen and have them come back for another year to play together, it's a lot because a lot of our issues with offensive line have been continuity issues. We were talking about we were at one point a revolving door of offensive linemen where we didn't know who the starting five were going to be year to year. Now you have a good idea of what your starting five is going to be aside from the tackle. Um, and you're going to be able to just go into next year and these guys aren't going to have to learn to play with each other. Slaughter is an all-American, so to return an all-American on the offensive line is a big deal. That doesn't usually happen. Usually kids win all-Americans in their junior year and they're out. But Slaughter just loves playing here. He loves being a Gator. He loves the college life. More power to him, brother. Hey, I'm thankful for it because we need him. So I'm glad he's staying. Same thing with Barber. Um, and of course, Damian George, that was a weird situation for him with his agents where they put him in the portal and he didn't want to be in the portal and just some odd stuff. I think he said he showed up to practice and everybody was like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "What do you mean? What am I doing here?" That was
Truly a lunch pail kind of guy.
yeah. He was like, "What do you mean? What am I doing here? I'm in practice. I thought you entered the portal." Me? No. So
Oh, never mind. I thought you were talking about Slaughter. I got mixed up.
no. Slaughter was the same way. Slaughter was like, I didn't know I had to tell everybody it was coming back. I just thought they knew.
Yeah.
So, so you got a couple of guys with your offensive linemen who are just clocking in, going to work, no matter what's going on around us. So good for them. We talked about the defensive side of the ball. Of course, Caleb Banks is coming back. We're still trying to figure out what's happening with a few other guys like Sapp and Shamar James and where that's going to shake out. We'll get into that next week or the week after next, depending on what shakes out here because there's so many moving pieces behind scenes that everything is so fluid at the moment. Until you get official word, you're really not sure how everything's going to go either way. And I guess we're going to talk about that next. It's just a lot of it's a new age in college sports, college football. And I still think we're now in like the third or fourth year of this, and it's still not entirely clear what we come to expect. The trends that we've dealt with over the last few seasons have changed again. So we're still learning. It's like it's brand new every year until we get some parameters laid down by some governing body somewhere. I guess it's going to be like this every year, but right now that's all we know at the moment as far as the guys who are staying. There's still some guys yet to announce. Of course, some of these guys that have been asked are out of eligibility. Guys that asked about Badger or DK or those, of course, most know, but some don't. Those guys are out of eligibility. There's a few other guys. Montreal's out of eligibility, so you've got some guys that are just going to be gone, and you're going to have to replace that production. But we'll see what happens within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely huge news, like you said, about the offensive lineman. I mean, you can't really put that into perspective. And between that and Banks, and I'm just going to put it out here, I have it on really, really pretty good authority that I think Sapp is going to be back as well. But we'll find out probably after the bowl game. I think he's going to make an announcement, but we'll see. And other than that, I know it's been heavily speculated that I don't think Shamar will be back. And look, this is the part of the year-to-year thing that really sucks about this is that you've got a guy that the last two off seasons, we're going to call it off seasons because it's 100% what it is, has gone into the office and said, I need more money or I'm leaving. And now he's doing it for a third year. And you've reached a point now, the last 2 years, you didn't have the depth at linebacker that we've finally built up on that defense. You had very little options, especially after Scooby left, and now you've got Childs, you've got Pup, you've got Miles, Robbins. The linebacker room is safe, and you've got Ty Jackson coming in, who, yes, a freshman, but is supposedly all world talent at the linebacker position. People just think he's an absolute freak. And there's a lot of people that think that maybe Shamar has kind of peaked as far as his talent level. And that's up for debate. I'm not a talent scout. I'm not here to say that, look, he's got room to grow, or he's pretty much peaked out at what he's going to be. It is what it is. But he's going to have a decision to make. Either he wants to be a Florida Gator for what he's got, or he wants to get more, or he wants to try his hand at the NFL draft. It's those are his options. He knows what they are, and he's trying to contemplate. My thing is if you're having to think that hard about it, I don't know if your heart's really in the right place. But it's not my decision to make. I don't know what his life situation is. I don't know what his family situation is, and that changes. That changes a lot of things, when you might have different family aspects that play into it. Everybody's situation is different. That's why I don't judge a lot of these kids unless I know firsthand, or I've been told by people that know, what's going on. And that brings me to the Jack Pyburn situation. Obviously, Jack, a lot of stuff came out this week. We talked about it a little bit on the show last week. Jackson went into the portal. There was speculation maybe he's not all the way gone. Then the demands came out, and the fan base just really rapidly turned on him. And then he started clapping back on social media between Instagram and all that. And then he committed to LSU. Great. I do know that I know for a fact there were some, I don't want to call them demands, because I don't know how they were presented in the room, but I know that he expected certain things. And look, if you have that much belief in yourself, that's on you. At the end of the day, I mean, you're betting on yourself. If you saying, look, I'm better than the other people in that room, and I want to go somewhere where I'm given the chance to prove that. But here's the thing. No coach is giving in to demands. And we said that last week. No coach is giving in to demands. They're not doing it. And I know Brian Kelly ain't doing it either. That guy ain't got the personality to give in to demands. But he does have the personality to probably tell you, sure, come on, man. We'll play you first, second, and third down. Yeah, you can do that in our system. And then, fall ball comes along and he's like, oh, you're not getting it done. And whatever. Well, the situation will play itself out one way or another. We know we've seen it happen throughout history in football. And then you have TJ Searcy leave. And that one hurts me a little more. Like, look, I get it. I like Jack too. I thought Jack was a Gator through and through. But, here we are. TJ Searcy, we had a lot invested in. Financially, and CJ knows about that as well. I mean, financially, coaching, otherwise. And this is a young man that obviously just thought he wasn't getting the right chance. I get it. And I kind of have my own dislike with the position coach, and I'm not talking about Chapman for those who can figure it out. And I know the man is a Gator great, but I'm not sure he's a great coach. And as we've seen, there's been a lot of guys come and go in that position, and there's been a lot of and I would not be surprised if there's a change at that position, at that coaching position this offseason. We'll see. I know a lot of kids have not been happy in that room, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, I mean, these guys are betting on themselves. I believe it's a very strong possibility that TJ Cersei ends up at Auburn, which sucks, but at least it's not somebody we have to worry about playing in the immediate future that we're going to have to run up against him like we are Piper. CJ, I know like we said, we talked about the Pyburn situation a little bit last week, but now we've got the full scope of him and Cersei out there, and we're talking about Shamar. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, this is just the product of where college football is, and the reason you've seen teams like Georgia and Alabama look a little more human. The ability to stockpile talent at one position is going away, because of the nature of the beast. Now, if a room gets too crowded, there's somebody else who needs you to start, and there's somebody who will pay you to start. And these guys are going to take those opportunities. I don't blame them one bit. I understand you have aspirations to be an NFL player. Jack Pyburn, TJ Cersei both believe they're going to play at the next level. And to do that, they need to go to a place that they feel like they will get adequate playing time to do. When you look around the room at the University of Florida at the edge spot and the end spot, that thing has gotten crowded fast. Where we were seeing, 4 or 5 guys rotate and play at those spots. Jack and TJ Cersei and Cam James were 3 guys that were kind of jumbled up this all season where we were like, you're probably losing 2 of them. We didn't know which two. And this is what we wound up with. And like I said, I'm not going to disparage them. I'm not going to talk about, negatively about them. I want them to get whatever they think they're owed. If they can get it, go for it. Um, my hang up becomes when you kind of, show your rear end on the way out the door. Um, and I don't appreciate that. And our fan base is giving it to them one way or the other, and that's great. But you're amplifying it for no reason at all. That's kind of low to me. Especially with a kid like Jack Pyburn, who was from Jacksonville. He's a Gator through and through. His family are Gators. He went to the Georgia Florida game every year. This is his dream. The kid talked about how much he loved, wanted to put on the uniform sitting at his commitment ceremony. And then to do this, but again, we're talking about the new age of college football. And if Jack Pyburn can turn his back on your program, then anybody can. That's just, I mean, we've reached that point. Cersei, good luck to Cersei. I know the University of Florida has invested a ton into DJ Cersei for what they saw at a high school. He was the favorite of the 3 that we brought in, out of at the time, out of him, Cam James, and Kelby Collins. 2 of them are gone now. Um, nature of the beast. Again, we're just talking about an inability for college teams to be able to stack talent at one position now and stockpile them, and hold them for years upon years, because there's always teams that can use you now. You're needed more than ever. Like I said, we've seen all these this year especially. We've seen a kind of leveling of the playing field in college football, which is the opposite of what I thought we would. So I thought we'd just see the rich get richer, but these kids are now going to different places. We see it every year. Georgia and Alabama have been hit harder by the transfer portal than I think any team. You don't notice it, so much because their starting players are so good. But when you start to get in the grind of the season, then you see, Alabama this year not do as well. You see Georgia not do as well. That's when that depth is going to show up. And I think that depth across the league is going to suffer because of this, because nobody wants to wait their turn anymore. Nobody has to wait their turn anymore. Nobody's, you're talking about competing for spots. They're not doing that as much because, why do it if you can just go somewhere else and start? I don't blame you. There's no reason to break your back if somebody else is ready to take you. And two, like I said, these kids want to go to the NFL. They want to be on tape. They want to be on film. They want people to see their game. And the best way to do that is to go to a room that needs you more, that is going to feature you and their defense more. So I think that's kind of just where we're at in college football. Now you can make the argument about player retention, and I understand that, but we've seen Florida do it. We've talked about at the start of this video. We talked about, of course, Caleb Banks, and we talked about Jake Slaughter, and we talked about Austin Barber, um, Tyreek Sapp. Those are guys that they're not coming back to play for free. Okay. Now they say all the great things, and I believe them. I believe their mindset, but they're also getting paid as well. There's also been money that had to be put out to keep them here, amongst 100 others that you'll never hear about. So that's just kind of where it is. So for everybody that Florida has lost, also understand they've had to have a conversation about keeping somebody else. Um, and that's not going to get publicized because, of course, if they're happy and it happened, nobody's going to write so and so walked into Billy Napier's office, asked for more money, and got it, and they went away and they were very happy. Nobody's going to write that article. It just ain't going to happen. So for every guy you see leave, just know that they've had a conversation to keep another guy behind closed doors, and they're going to do this every year. Player retention is going to become just as important as recruiting, because they're essentially you essentially are recruiting for their entire time throughout college. Now you're having to recruit your players to stay on the team until something changes eventually.
Yeah. I don't think people realize this when they're talking about, well, why aren't the Gators getting this done and this done in the portal and yada yada yada. And look, I know there is some very good validity to that, and I understand that they have had some visitors, but I don't think the visitors that they've scheduled so far have been guys that they were outside of Zachariah Poyser, who committed to Miami because Miami paid him an exorbitant amount of money for a guy that was going to play probably star here. And it is what it is. I mean, I know the argument to that is, well, if you want a guy, you got to pay up, and that's very true. I get it. But that's where you get yourself in the problems, because you bring that guy in, and then what's Aaron Gates saying? What's Sharif Denson saying? He brought him in for set. I've been here playing at the SEC level. There's a validity to both sides of the argument. Sure, that guy played at Jacksonville State, but it ain't SEC. But to the other end of that, well, Aaron Gates is hurt, and he's probably not going to be ready to go at the very beginning of the season. And you get yourself in a real bind by bringing in guys that haven't been here, that haven't been part of the process. And we do talk about the culture a lot and all of that. But if you bring these guys in and they're getting paid more than the guys that you've already got in the locker room, then the guys in the locker room are coming to Billy's office saying, well, I'm about to hit the portal unless you raise me up. So what Florida is trying to do, at least as my understanding of it was get everybody renegotiated that needed to be renegotiated done up to the level of current, whatever the current baseline is for guys that produce at a certain level, at a certain position. You get what I'm saying? It's very similar to how the NFL has their, guys that get paid based on performances and things like that. And yes, we know, it is performance based. We're not going to sit here and lie about the NIL being performance based. So you have to really get your house in order before you go shopping almost. Now, at the position, say like wide receiver, well, you're losing DK and Badger. You've got a 1 and a 2 open. So you can be a little bit more, open about that. Defensive tackle, you've already got Banks secured. So anything after that is just kind of like, so they're getting these guys squared away, and it looks like now that Cam James is going to stay, which to me is a big victory. You keep Cam James in the fold, and now you've got to go out there and just plug the few holes left that you have. Yes, you need two wide receivers, and I've I've heard some names, I've heard some rumbles. I think you may see something shake out by the weekend, one way or another. We'll find out. I don't want to put too much hopium out there because God knows then the fan base gets in an uproar. But they're working on some things. Um, and I think there's a couple of guys still playing in bowl games that may or may not be done with their season here very shortly. Just depending on how their game goes. One's in a playoff game that I know they're talking to. And y'all can use process of elimination all you want. Um, they're waiting on some more high caliber guys that are on these teams to try to get them out. Sure, I would have really liked to have gotten Reggie Virgil that committed to Texas Tech, that out of Miami of Ohio. I thought he was a very good one. I know CJ was very high on him as well. But Texas Tech's out there with a newfound bag of NIL money. Patrick Mahomes must have kicked them off some of their, and they're the number one team in the portal right now. They're killing it, and they're paying very well for some high profile players. Kudos to them. I mean, hey, if you got it, flash it. It's cool to see a team like, to me anyway, if you're going to have this, if this system is going to exist, it's very cool to see a team like Texas Tech out there grabbing a bunch of kids, because that means they're not going to Bama, they're not going to LSU, they're not going to Georgia, they're not going to Tennessee. I mean, at least they're going out there. We're not playing Texas Tech unless we get to some to the playoffs and they make it. So hey, let them deal with that. So we're still waiting on Keyshawn Silver to make his decision. He visited USC, he visited Michigan, he visited Miami, and now we're in a holding pattern. Some people at Miami feel really good. I've heard people at Florida still feel good. I don't think Michigan's really in it. They went after the kid from Bama, and then something happened with that, the defensive tackle. So that's a weird situation. USC is a wreck right now. They just lost the Branch brothers. They've had all kinds of kids transfer out of there. I don't think that's a program unless you're absolutely just looking to get 1 year of the biggest bag possible. I don't think that's a place you're looking to go. So we'll see. We should have news on that possibly by the end of the weekend. Hopefully, I would think on Keyshawn Silver. And then if that doesn't work out, then you've got to shift gears on defensive tackle. And you still probably need a corner, and you still need a safety star guy. Obviously, they're looking for one. And there's a few guys out there. Some more minor guys in the George Gums scope of things that they've made contact with. Obviously, you still need the backup quarterback. I think that's going to you're going to take the UCLA kid that visited, or you're going to have a hard time with that one. Because, like we said, not a lot of guys coming to back up DJ Lagway. CJ, what are your thoughts on how the portal has gone so far?
I this is exactly how I expected the portal to go, because this is kind of how we've handled the portal the last two seasons. Um, I think people got a lot of false hope. Maybe there was a lot of stuff put out there that was about we're going to be aggressive and we're going to spend, and they took that as we're going to hit the ground running and really just start buying. Kind of like what we're seeing from LSU, what we're seeing from Texas Tech is kind of what people thought our approach was going to be. And I tended to believe you kind of look at the way they've done it before is a better judge. And this is kind of on par with what we've done before. And we've talked about it. They've done a good job evaluating out of the portal. They found great value, good bang for their buck, if you will, out of the portal. When George Gums, Elijah Badger, Shimray DK, those kind of guys that they've brought in. And you do have your splash guys like Pup. I think Pup was a guy that we were all like, oh wow, that's big. So I expect to see us get a few of those guys as well. But I think we're at the point now where that's kind of just the way they're going to handle things. I think that they've done good enough recruiting that they're, you know, I think we've got a good enough spread out base of talent. I think that we're more talented at a lot of positions than we have been. I think if you're portal shopping, I think wide receiver is a good position to be in the portal shopping game for. I think you're going to see most of those guys every year. I think that it's not like you're saying, well, we need an overhaul at the offensive line in the portal, which is not good. Or you saying, there's a few other places, defensive tackle. Of course, we need one, but there's a few positions out there that you're like, we don't really want to be portal shopping for those. You'd like to recruit those guys, but wide receiver to me isn't one of them. Wide receiver is one where you can go and get plenty of guys out of the portal. Wide receivers change like crazy. We've seen it this year. Like the most notable names I think that you've seen jumping in the portal have been wide receivers. So I think we're in a good spot there. We'll get somebody. We'll get a couple of guys for sure, and they'll be good players. I think that we're also in a good position with a guy like DJ Lagway, who's going to be able to elevate some of these guys. Even if you look at them on paper, you look at their stats, and you look at what they've done at their other schools, I think that DJ Lagway is going to be able to be the kind of guy to take them to the next step. Now, is the next step an all conference player? Probably not. But they will be at least, serviceable 700 yards receiving, a few touchdowns sprinkled in. And I think that's all we can really ask for. I think that that's the kind of what we've grown to expect. We've got to see some production out of the guys we've recruited. We've got to see Mizell take the next step. We've got to see Jeray Hawkins take the step. We've got to see Vernell
Trey
Brown
Wilson.
the third come in. Trey Wilson, even Trey Wilson's got to take another step. He had a sophomore slump this year. Even with the injury, we're talking about a guy who came in high hopes. Freshman year was better than this year, and that's not good. So he's got to take another step forward. So you've got to see some of the guys that you've recruited here also be able to lean on them and see them take the next step. And if they can't, then you're really in trouble because then you're just leaning on the portal again and again and again and again. And it's not just for one or two receivers anymore. It's for a whole core if you didn't get these right. So these guys have got to produce. They've got to be developed. We've touted how much we like Mizell and how much we like Trey Wilson, how much we like Vernell Brown. These guys have to come in and they got to produce. Old school recruiting still matters. High school recruiting still matters. We can't just, look and run to the portal every time because we see a lot of guys going to the portal that don't work out. A guy like even we talk about CJ Daniels, who was a guy that we recruited last year. He came to LSU. He only caught 400 yards. He didn't score a touchdown. That wasn't what we were expecting. We were all really bummed out. We didn't get that guy. And then we ended up having Badger and DK have better seasons. So just to say, portal's kind of a crapshoot a lot of the times. You're taking a guy who's coming in. He's got to learn a new system. He's got to get into a new school. He's got to move. He's not comfortable. He doesn't know DJ Lagway from Adam. So let's see some of that play itself out. Let's have the conversation again in January. See where we're at then. Of course, there's still the spring portal. We got Elijah Badger in the spring portal. Typically we're not real jazzed up about the spring portal because we can't take any of the SEC kids. But I feel like there's still talent there, still guys trying to feel stuff out. We're still looking at teams that'll be in transition from different coaches taking NFL jobs, et cetera, et cetera. We're really not going to have a good idea of how this thing is shaking out until we get to the spring. And I think that's hard to deal with when you know what you have, what the team is, that the team is closer than it has been, and you really want to see something, happen. So I think that the only thing I can tell you now is we're just going to have to wait this thing out.
Absolutely. It's just what else can you do at this point? Now, like I said, I think this bowl game gets played on Friday, and I think you see things really jump up. Obviously, we have a Jonte Cook will be here, I believe, Sunday or Monday to visit, former 5-star wide receiver that was at Texas. very much worth watching. He's got to visit us and probably one with Washington. So obviously a kid that was very highly thought of at one point. Had a few. There's different stories out there that maybe he had some issues at Texas. Some people say that was very overblown. I know he's very active on social media. You can, you have your own opinion about that. I don't care one way or another as long as he's ready to play on Saturdays. We've seen plenty of kids that were like that. That are good, bad, indifferent. It doesn't matter. So I think you'll see more. I think soon as the game is over, I think you're going to see things really ramp up next week. I think next week is going to be where you see more activity from the Gators and more visits scheduled, and you're going to see some more guys enter the portal after this set of bowl games is over this weekend. So just worth keeping an eye on. One other piece of news that we didn't cover yet, Austin Armstrong left to take the defensive coordinator job at University of Houston. See you later, Austin. We barely knew thee. And I would not be very surprised if come this time next week, Ron Roberts might be gone as well. Just speculation from a lot of stuff that I've heard, read, known, seen, been told. A lot of people have heard the rumors about Ron Roberts and things like that behind the scenes. We will know very shortly, I have a feeling, how accurate all that is. And then, we'll cross that bridge when it comes. But, hey, there you go. Best of luck to Austin out there at the University of Houston. I hope it goes better for you there than it did here. I know a lot of people were not real. I know a lot of coaches weren't very happy working with Austin. I know he looks like a real jovial kind of guy and all that, and maybe you think the players loved him, but I know the coaches didn't. So that is what it is. We move on. That's what we do. Coaching rumors will probably start hopping next week too. So stuff to keep an eye on. But until then, guys, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Not a whole lot out there right now. Hopefully that changes after we get this W this Friday. CJ, what do you got for the people before we get out of here?
Just thank you guys so much for supporting us as creators. Check out the Twitter, check out the Facebook, check out the Facebook chat. Again, it's news season. It's all recruiting, all this portal stuff. So we talk about that constantly. So if you're into that, you want to know about that, or we all watch the basketball game or something at the same time. So if you want to be in there and be in the chat and try to watch me reverse jinx the Gators into a win, be my guest. But speaking of the basketball team, shout out those guys. Those guys are 11-0. We're riding, man. I mean, just look like we will probably be 13-0 heading into Rupp Arena to play Kentucky. Just a great start of the year for those guys. I mean, geez, that's a lot.
Won
of
a game last night that they usually lose. Previous years they lose that game.
Absolutely, you're talking about like a lot of growth for a team to get hit in the mouth and still come out with a W at the end of the game. So good for those guys. But yeah, check out the Facebook. Like Kirsch said, leave your comments below, leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we upload. We really appreciate you guys. You make everything that we do possible. You're the reason we do the show. We like to have a good time. We like to, kind of keep everything light. Share with you what we know. Talk about some of our opinions and things like that. To keep it, pretty lighthearted. Have a good time. So we really appreciate that. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of you guys. Enjoy your family. Enjoy that ham and enjoy football. Enjoy the game Friday. I'm going to be enjoying it Friday. I took some PCO to watch the McGilla Gorilla Bowl, so we're going to sit at home and watch that. And really appreciate you guys getting us through another year here, another holiday season. We'll be back to see you in the new year unless something really big happens.
Yeah, if something is to break, say Sunday or Monday, we'll try to jump on and do a quick little recap and talk about what's going on. So, and hopefully that happens. Nothing more exciting than when, you got that kind of news going on. So
absolutely. Early Christmas.
Yep. So we will see how it goes, man. But until then, guys, like CJ said, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, stay safe, and go Gators.
Go Gators.